Mental Training 101 on 105.5 The Roar. And now back to Get Warrior Tough with Andrew Wittman.
All right. Dutch and Andrew. Andrew and Dutch. Back in the saddle. Time to get Warrior Tough. Most monumental hour in media anywhere. Ah! All right, if you want to get in on the conversation, use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough on Twitter. You can find Dutch at @TheDutchColeman, and I am at WarriorToughPhD. Go to the website, GetWarriorTough.com, and find a handle, hook on, and just find a way to connect with us. And I'm telling you, your life will get exponentially better, and so will ours for having you in our life. And that's really, we love making the connection. That's really why we do what we do, is because we love making personal connections with all of you.
That's it. I mean, that's it right there. I mean, I love when you say that, because that's it in a nutshell. We benefit from this, man.
Huge.
Oh man, I feel so good seeing other people have success. When other people take those steps, especially when it's a step that they didn't ever think they could take.
Dude, I just got chill bumps, man. I mean, that's really, man. I'm kidding, man. That's really why we do what we do. I mean, yeah. That's so awesome.
The note from Crystal. I mean, that's enough right there. That's enough. When you hear people making advances like that, it's wonderful. I mean, we've done it. We've been there. We've seen it. We're still taking advances in our lives. We have people in our lives that take joy in our successes. And I love being successful. I love moving forward. But there's nothing like having a hand in someone else's success.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. And I think that's, I mean, if you look at coaches anywhere or leaders, mentors, that's why we do what we do, because we love thinking that, man, I had a part in somebody else having a great life, and that, man, it's just so good. So let's talk about this now. Your whole deal with, I'll let you start off with, I'm going to ask this question. Now, on your Twitter feed about the play calling at the end of the Notre Dame-Clemson game, it got a little conservative for folks who are just 3 and out, running the ball, 3 and out. We're deep in the end zone. It's pouring down rain. I mean, the rain, it's Forrest Gump rain, right? Sometimes it's raining sideways, sometimes it's raining upside down. And so just go ahead and, have at it. Let's hear it.
Well, it's not been a secret that all week I've been kind of fighting with the naysayers who were very critical of our play calling, and I get it. That's the thing that I don't understand about people, is that if you get it, then you're fine. Doesn't mean you're happy with it, but you understand what was going on. And what people need to understand that was going on was that in a torrential downpour, we're talking monsoon-like weather, you get a 2-score lead, you need to put the onus, you need to put the pressure on the other guys to have to catch up, have to put the ball at risk in order to catch you. Now, the good thing is that we have a defense. We have a defense that we pride ourselves on that's going to make it even more difficult for the other team to do those things. Even if we had a bad defense and they had to put the ball in play, it gives us as a bad defense a chance. But we have a very good defense. So if you put the ball in play in those conditions against us, you're going to fumble, throw an interception, and we saw a bunch of fumbles. You're going to throw an interception. You're going to do all those things. And every time we take it away from you, it's you against that clock. Even if we were to kneel down every play, it's you against that clock. And that's where we put them. Now, it almost didn't work. It almost did, but that's the calculated gamble that we took. We were not going to put that ball in the air, and Notre Dame knew it. And they were daring us to do it. And that's what people need to understand. So I don't understand why people were so critical. Like, you're going to take a lot out of a game like this with these conditions. You're not getting anything out of that. You just need to get out of that game.
Right. And I guess here's the only concern that I don't care about the play calling. You call whatever. I mean, listen, the experts call what they need to call. Mm-hmm. The part that where I started like, oh man, here we go, was, you get into that lull where you just want to get out of here, and you kind of think, I got a 3-score lead now, because when we get, and it's almost like now all we have to do is play not to lose. And you could almost see that kind of switch. And I got to give the defense props, man. They pulled themselves out of that attitude, and when it counted, they stood firm, man. They held the line. And so I got to give them props and mental toughness, because everybody wanted to get out of there. There's nobody that wanted to. And if you've ever been in that kind of rainstorm and you've been playing like that, listen, man, nobody wants to be there. No one's like, this is great, let's stay here all week.
Now, what you said was very important. You gave props to the defense, right?
Absolutely.
Those are the very people that Dabo Swinney and the offensive staff counted on.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we counted on that was going to happen. Now, if I'm the offensive coordinator, I've played in those conditions. If I'm the offensive coordinator, I know that the players are very nervous every time the ball's in their hand. It's natural. It's a torrential downpour.
Right.
So the best thing is to not move that ball as much as possible, to keep that thing in one direction. I don't care if it's up the middle, because the time is what's important. Now, the thing that people seem to miss, and it's been killing me all week, is the one shot we took to Scott. Now, it was very sneaky, but it almost worked, and it should have been a touchdown. So what you need to do is you need to lull them into it. We kept running right up the middle, kept running, and we kept it very simple, because all we wanted to do was possess the football, punt it away, let our defense do it. People act like, well, you're lucky the defense. No, we're not lucky the defense did anything. We counted on the defense doing things.
Yeah, they did their job, man.
They did their job. And now, did it almost not work? Yeah, it almost didn't work. But that was a calculated gamble. This wasn't some lucky happenstance. It was a calculated gamble that our defense will be able to hold up in the end, and it worked. Now, again, we can't forget about the shot we made to Scott, because in that, I would have done the same thing, and I would have taken a shot like they did with Scott. Scott should have caught that touchdown pass. Then it puts us out a third score like that, and then it breaks Notre Dame's spirit.
Right.
Other than that, you do not put that ball at risk. You play it just like you did. Now, the other thing, Andrew, the defense missed out on a couple of turnovers. Although we did get more turnovers, we missed out on a couple of crucial turnovers. When Boulware dropped an interception, I think someone else dropped an interception, or we got a fumble that they recovered.
Right.
Those could have been nail in the coffin type plays as well, but we missed out on them. But what they were doing was they were continuing to put the ball at risk because they had to.
They had to, and that's the big thing is they had to do it because they had nothing to lose. But this is the only thing that this happens in life too, Dutch. We get to a certain point in life where we like what we have, so we do what we do to protect our stuff, and we begin to play not to lose instead of continuing to play to win. And that's the only issue that I have with it. If we're switching to I'm playing not to lose, and I got it. And again, I'm props to the defense, because I don't care what the play call is. If you're running it up the gut, man, you got to have the heart to find a way. I'm gonna, the offensive line. So we got to dominate these guys. I don't care if you're giving me. We're just gonna run it up the gut every time. I would have liked to seen that fire and say, let's put the nail in the coffin and let's get it done instead of let's get out of here. And now I just saw a little bit of that. And again, I'm not blaming them, because I've lived in a typhoon, man, where we're living outside in a typhoon where you don't even have dry socks, you know what I mean? So I get the wanting to be out of there. I get that. But at the same time, man, I got a little scared, dude. I got a little scared when I saw, like, oh man, we got to find a way to win, and the defense did. They found a way to win. So my hats off to the defense, man, it really is. And
and that's where I keep coming back to. Normally this would be considered playing not to lose, but this was the plan. The plan was to win with defense. See, so then it reverts from playing not to lose. It turns into playing to win with defense.
Gotcha.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I do, man. I'm with you.
That's the line that we've crossed over. Now, if we didn't have a plan with the defense, we didn't have this great defense, now we're at the mercy of Notre Dame. Right. But we were counting on our defense for obvious reasons. Number one defense in the nation. I think we have a top 10 defense this year. So you're counting on that. You're putting the ball in the hands of the defense instead of playing not to lose. So I'm playing to win. I'm just playing to win with my defense.
Right, and that's what they did. Yeah, and they got that done. And they got it done. We crossed over because that hasn't always been the case. There's been times where we're like, oh, man, and then we, here we go again. But those guys didn't do it. They held the line, and, man, I'm so – and I know some of them, man, and I'm proud of those guys. And I reached out to them and texted them and told them I was proud of them. And I got to tell you, man, they showed. I mean, again, Dabo said it. After the Louisville game, mental toughness, man. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you that the worst thing someone can do is not be honest about it. They went conservative, like I said. So make no mistake about it. They went conservative. But I think it was a great idea, and I think other football coaches in America would think that's a great idea under those circumstances. The other thing, Andrew, that we got to consider, this is the only negative. The wild card in that whole fourth quarter was that Notre Dame figured our weakness out. We had a problem underneath. Our linebackers covering in space underneath was an issue.
Right.
Took them a long time to figure that out. That's something I already knew. We have very traditional linebackers in Boulware and Goodson, where they'll come in there and they'll knock your head off. In that box, they'll knock your head off. But out in space, out in coverage, it's a little shaky. Then Notre Dame figured it out, but they figured it out too late. So we don't know that they're going to figure that out at that moment. The moment they figure that out, they start wearing it out.
Yeah.
But if you look at the first 3 quarters, our defense was shutting them down. So I'm thinking, hey, man, I'm counting on our defense. I'm going to play with our defense. But once they figured it out, they start hammering it. They start going back to it. That's when it got scary. But again, the defense pulled it out. They made a play. They made the last play, which is the best play. The last play is the best play.
They finished, man. They finished. And I got to tell you, this is a big thing that I see in athletics all the time, is that you have to learn how to win. And building a culture of learning how to win. And we see this, the Raiders right now are trying to figure that out. They're trying to rebuild that culture of learning how to win. And they've been through, and the Redskins are going to have to go through that again, because they have forgotten how to win as a team. And you see this, there's certain teams out there, it's part of the culture of him. Dude, I watched that Maryland-Michigan game. I'm like, holy smoke, man. Has Maryland ever remembered how to win in football? I don't know, man.
And I'm telling you, props to a couple kind of local teams: Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons, man.
Yeah, they've won nothing yet. We know that, but you can see something a little different in the way both those teams are playing. And you're right. You have to take that step. You have to take that step as a program, and becoming winning becoming normal. And it wasn't for a lot of these teams, and now it's starting to become normal again.
Right, and I think that's a huge thing that Dabo has brought to Clemson, because I remember, before Dabo came on board, and I'm not besmirching anybody, but Tommy would say stuff like, well, second's pretty good. And I would just like, what? Second is not good, man. No, that's not good, And so, I mean, did you remember when he would say stuff like that, man?
Yeah,
it would drive me insane.
He bring up who else lost, and the other thing, Clemson did this with the number 6 team in the nation.
Yeah,
now,
man.
We've seen teams struggling with Northern Illinois. I'm talking Ohio State.
Yep.
We've seen Auburn struggle with Jacksonville State.
War chickens. Excuse me.
We've seen Arkansas lose to Toledo. We've seen all these things, all these teams struggling. We saw Ohio State struggle with Indiana this past week.
Yep.
Props to Indiana for trying to do what they did.
Yeah, they played a good game, man. They just couldn't finish the deal, but yeah.
And so these other teams are struggling with mid-majors, and we're struggling with the number 6 team in the nation on horrible conditions.
Where nobody picked us to win, man. Nobody. Except the weather guy. The weather guy did pick us to win. That Jim Cantori guy?
Yes.
Because of the chick in the bar was giving him free drinks.
And this is what's bothering me more than anything. Not that – because people have the right to complain about the play. Hey, I don't have a problem with that. But let's get some perspective here. That's all I'm saying.
I love it, man. No, I mean it was a great game. It was fantastic. They closed the deal. They finished it. And as a fan, yeah, I mean I like my football like I like my Alabama football, like it did, when they rolled through Georgia. I mean the Crimson Tide came in, they flooded the whole thing. That's how I like it. And so I was loving it. And then I got a little freaky at the end of the Clemson, Notre Dame, because I like it when I like to be like I'm done in the second quarter, man. That's how I like my football. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I do. But so, yeah, it's all right, man. It's all good. Now, we're going to talk about, when we get back from break, we're going to talk about Alabama and Ole Miss.
Yeah, let's do that.
That whole deal. All right. So, take us to break, Jacko.
80% of all doctor visits are stress-related. 80% of tension headaches are caused by stress. Most heart attacks occur around 9 a.m. on Monday. Stress is a major factor of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and aggression, not to mention insomnia. And an estimated 24 million Americans use drugs to cope with stress. Depressing, isn't it? You're meant to live a happy, fulfilled life, and it is possible. Andrew Wittman can show you the way out. The way to deal with stress, to break through limitations, and have an internal identity that calms the storm. Whether it's work or home, financial or emotional, get the tools you need to cope with the obstacles life brings you and still have peace. Mental Training 1-on-1 will help you get what you want out of life. Visit GetWarriorTough.com to see testimonials from people just like you. Take control of stress. GetWarriorTough.com.